Hello and welcome back to TTP at Home. So for the next 3 months, Fran and I are inviting you into our interviews with statewide candidates. Now, each interview is only going to be 15 minutes, and we will pack in as much as we can to help you begin your own research and make your own decisions. Let's get right to it.
Before we share our interviews with you, we'd like to highlight what's happening in September at True Texas Project. First of all, we are bringing back one of our favorite speakers, Mike Sonneveld, who talks about building boys into men. It's one of our favorite topics.
We also have Tom Glass joining us. Now, he's only speaking at one of our satellites on the topic of cloud seeding and bioengineering and all these crazy things that we all hear about, and they're a little bit scary, but we're going to live stream that one. So if you can't attend in person and you can't even watch the live stream, we will have a recording of it so you can watch it later.
Did you hear about the clown show in our Beaumont satellite in August? The topic was the Islamatization of Texas, and the protesters came out, yes, dressed as clowns. We'll be doing that again this month at several satellite locations. We're also going to be talking about a similar topic, the H-1B visas, and how that has a negative effect on jobs for Texans. So don't miss that one.
And then, of course, it is election season, like we mentioned, and at a lot of our satellites, those candidates are all showing up. So we've got a lot of the statewide candidates making their rounds, which is a great opportunity to meet them in person. And then local candidates will be at your meetings as well. The more you build relationships, the more you can hold them accountable when they win. So be sure you're there for those.
If you're watching this podcast from one of our TTP at Home groups, welcome. This is why we created TTP at Home, was just for you. We hope that we can continue to grow those groups all across the state. If you're interested in hosting a home group, just email Julie at truetexasproject.com.
Great. Thanks, Fran. So we also have some other events coming up. We are bringing our Certified True Texan training for youth to Harris County. So this is the first time that we will take it down to Harris County. We're excited just to have another opportunity to pour into the youth of tomorrow, because obviously that's our future.
And don't forget the never-ending special legislative sessions. It's still happening. The Senate has done most of their work. The House is busy trying to get it done. So pay attention to my Fran's Friday messages, which sometimes come on Wednesdays or Thursdays. And also social media posts. We'll post action alerts as much as we possibly can, but things turn around quickly, so you have to be on top of it. We are pre-recording all of these candidate interviews, and they will be released at various different times. For example, next month, we're going to feature candidates for the Texas Agricultural Commission, and then later we'll have Attorney General candidates and Comptroller candidates. For today, we are kicking it off with 2 candidates for governor, plus an interview with Steve Toth. Most of the interviews we do will be focused on statewide races, but we thought that this race to kick out Dan Crenshaw would be a good, fun place to start. So here we go.
Hey, everybody. We are excited today to have our interview with Steve Toth. So Steve is running for Congress, and this is a different kind of interview for us because we've already endorsed Steve. Okay, so we don't have to weigh different candidates and play fair and ask careful questions. We can just hear what's going on with the campaign, why is he running, and that sort of thing. So first of all, why don't we encourage people? We only have 15 minutes, right? So I want to encourage people to go to your website. So why don't we just start off with, what is your website?
SteveTothForCongress.com.
Is it FOR or the number 4?
FOR, Steve Toth for Congress. Or if you get really lazy, just do SteveToth.com.
Okay.
Either one works.
There you go. So everybody can at least research you if they want to. But I think it's super fun you're taking on Dan Crenshaw, right? Like, tell us about Dan. Tell us why that would be an important thing to take on Dan Crenshaw.
Julie, I got to tell you, in 2018, when Dan ran, he was running against some squishy Republicans, and he came in this Navy SEAL war hero, and he said he was going to upend the apple cart. He said he was going to be a disruptor. He said he was going to stand against the swamp and the Washington cartel, as Ted Cruz calls it. But as soon as he got there, he just was like, wow, this place is good. And he starts digging it right away. And no sooner did he get there than he really turned against us. It's like he wouldn't return phone calls, didn't want to help us, didn't want to work with us, didn't want to speak for us, didn't want to represent us. And Montgomery County, we're the biggest red county in the state of Texas. Love you, Tarrant County, but we're the biggest solidly red county. And we have pretty high expectations of the people that we send to Washington and Austin. And he just isn't getting it. And as soon as he came back from New York City with the whole Saturday Night Live thing, he was just a completely different person. And Michael Berry will tell you the same thing. It's like we didn't recognize him anymore. And all of a sudden, he's Mr. Red Flag Laws and working with the Democrats, wanting to appease the Democrats, proud of the fact that he had a district that was 51% Republican, 49% Democrat. Although he said it was the other way around. He said it was 52% Democrat, 48% Republican. And he was the only one that could get elected in it. Well, dude, that's nothing to be proud of. And so, yeah, we're just mortified at the person that he became so quickly.
Yeah. So, we go way back with you, Steve. I don't remember exactly what year it was, but I'm pretty sure that were you part of
2011?
Were you part of our Shark Tank?
Yes. Well,
yes.
I didn't go to the first Shark Tank, but I because I couldn't get there. But yes.
Okay, so that's when, the Tea Party wave was strong, and we brought in all these great state reps, and unfortunately, a lot of them did what Dan Crenshaw did, right? They turned on us, and they sided with the establishment. It was a great disappointment. You have not been a disappointment. So why don't you tell us a little bit about your record? What are your proudest moments as a state rep?
I've been, according to the Rice Scorecard, in the top 5 most conservative members of the Texas House the last 4 sessions that I've been here. The last 2 sessions before Donald Trump did these blanket endorsements, ridiculous blanket endorsements, I was the only member of the Texas House in 2023 endorsed by Trump, only one endorsed by him in 2021. And I've worked hard for the people that I represent. Probably the legislation I'm most proud of is passing a ban on critical race theory in our classrooms. No, they don't go with criminal penalties because public education is not written in the criminal code, unfortunately, although it should be. But it has meant that hundreds of teachers across the state of Texas have lost their jobs. It was difficult to remove a teacher for teaching critical race theory before my bill passed, but now because of my bill, even Conroe Independent School District, which was run by all Democrats before we flipped the board. And you know what? That's what I'm most proud of. I'm most proud of the fact that 3 years ago, we elected 3 women, 3 mama bears to the school board. And last year, we elected 4 more. We flipped it completely, 7-0. And state reps, congressmen, you need to start using your bully pulpit for something other than your damn job.
Yes, thank you.
we're not losing Texas. Julie, in 2010, we were winning races with 23 and 24-point margins across the state of Texas. Now we're winning them with 6 and 8%. Why? What happened? Is it people moving into our state? No. 70% of them are voting Republican. Texas is still red because of people moving into our state voting Republican. Sadly.
I believe it.
We're losing our children. We are losing our children. We've abdicated our responsibility to leftists that run the public schools. And we've got to get more involved. We got to get, I love what Nate's doing, right, with Mercy Culture.
Nate Chesson.
Yeah, we're doing the same thing down here in Montgomery County, although he's got a replicatable system that we're going to use down here as well. And I'm going to shame reps into getting involved in these races and get parents to ask, why are you not, as my state rep, not involved in helping us?
So you don't know this, Steve, but when we have our certified true Texan classes, that's one of the things we teach in TTP 101. It's one of the 5 classes people are required to take. And it's like, talk to your representative because they have influence over so much more than just the average person does. And they're not using it. Like, where are they when books are in the library and we're trying to get them out. Like, why are they not using their voice to step up and say, this is wrong, let's fix it?
Yeah, and they think that by playing it safe, that they're protecting their position. They're
Right.
not. They're not at all. Like, the Associated Republicans have come after me every single election cycle. Carl wrote. And another Dan Crenshaw story. Dan Crenshaw gave them $25,000 to use against me in the last election cycle. So, but look, neither here nor there. They're going to come after you. If you do the right thing, they're going to come after you. So you might as well go all the way and be all in, right?
Right. The
And
people
so,
will love it.
yeah. So they spent $300,000 second to last election cycle against me. And they got 36% of the vote for $300,000. I spent like $150,000. Yeah. The next election cycle, they spent $700,000. And they only got 34% of the vote. They dropped a point, and they doubled the amount of money that they spent against me. And I think, honestly, it's because I've become more involved and people see me fighting for parents and our kids.
Yeah.
That's what moves the needle. Not just what you do here in the Capitol, but what you do in your own district.
Yeah.
For parents. And look, this is not just a Republican thing. Like, if you look at what happened in Loudoun County in Virginia, right? Democrats crossed over and voted for Glenn Youngkin because of parental rights. Democrats are pissed off about this as well. They are. And Republicans, if you lack the courage to do the right thing, you won't stay there. You won't be there. You won't have longevity. But if you stand up and get bold, people will turn out for you.
All right. I'd like to jump in here, Steve. One of the things I've been so impressed with you about, especially during this last session, is the way you are in touch with the people. Your little videos from the floor posted on social media and constantly updating us on what exactly is going on in the Texas House. I really appreciate that. And I'm wondering, is that something, if you're elected to Congress, that you will continue to try to do?
100%.
Good.
110%. I give out my cell phone number, 281-770-7287. You know what's amazing, too, is that people, state reps, they think they're so popular. They think that everybody's just thinking about them all the time and just can't wait to talk to them. And they're not. They don't really care about us. They don't really think about us. We're not really high on their hit parade of people that they want to hang out with or do things with. And it's funny because if I get 10 calls a week from people, that's a lot. Yeah. Now during COVID, I was getting like 100 phone calls a day. On Christmas Day, I gave my staff off and so everything came directly to me. And I got like 120 text messages and phone calls because we're helping with monoclonal infusions at that time.
Oh.
But no, it's so stupid for people not to give their cell phone number out.
That's great.
So Fran, you're always, we're trying to get your calls to action, right? And people think that they can't make a difference, but you're telling us 10 calls is a lot.
It really is.
True checks
It really is
more than 10.
And it matters because you hear directly from people about it, and it may seem anecdotal. I have a polling background. I used to work for the Harris Poll. It matters. If 10 people are calling you and 3 or 4 of them are calling about the same subject, it's not anecdotal. It's empirical. It represents a big cross section of people, and so you listen.
That's huge. That's huge. Fran, go ahead and jump in. I feel like I keep monopolizing this interview, so go ahead, Fran.
Well, just one other thing, and you're talking about, helping parents and empowering parents and helping in the schools. I noticed this session on SB 12, you were instrumental in getting that whole transgender thing in an amendment. It just basically wiping out transgenderism from our public schools. And I just think that was so awesome. You guys
want to hear a cold story behind it?
Of course.
Real quick. So I have been so angry at Burroughs for sending my bill to a committee to die under Ken King. and just enraged over this thing. And so we had an amendment, and we put it on 12, and the Democrats killed it. We didn't use our 10 names to challenge the ruling of the chair because we had another amendment. We didn't want to throw a grenade onto the House floor. And we had one more amendment that we were going to use. And Nate and I and Tony and a couple others huddled, and we prayed that God would throw into the Democrats a spirit of confusion.
Wow.
And we filed the amendment. And Mary Gonzalez came up to me. You know who she is. And she's head of the LGBTQ caucus. She's the leader of it. She's pansexual, which I don't know what the hell that is. But Pat Fallon said, hide the kitchen utensils. But anyway, she comes up to me and she said, I'm late. I'm tired. I'm just exhausted. Can you lay your amendment out in 30 seconds and we won't challenge it? I'm like, I'll lay it out in 15 seconds. And so I walked to the front microphone, and then two other LGBTQ caucus members are reading my amendment, and they start running to the back microphone to call point of order on it, right? And so I just said, ban social transition in our public schools, move passage. And then, boom, laughed quickly. The gavel came down.
Wow.
And that's how the bill passed.
That is a cool? Fantastic story. That's a great story.
We wrestle not against flesh and blood, but powers and principalities.
Amen.
And it's so cool that you guys got together and prayed that would happen.
We do it. We do it a lot. Nate and I are pastors.
Yeah.
Nate and I are both pastors, and we really believe that, Julie, if we can do more to encourage the freshmen coming in to be spiritually minded and to go deeper in their walk with Christ, they will achieve so much more.
Yes. Now, Steve, I didn't know you were a pastor. I've known you for 15 years. I didn't know you were a pastor. Wow.
I'm not a preacher. I'm a marriage and family life counselor.
Oh, okay.
I'm a recovering Baptist.
I'm not going to ask what you're recovering to.
I'm probably a little more Pentecostal.
Oh.
Well, that's another good reason to elect Steve to Congress. How awesome would it be to bring that spirituality to the U.S. Congress?
To the pit.
Yeah.
But I want to argue that point. So we need you in the House. I'm sure it's not the first time somebody has expressed disappointment that we're going to lose you as a state rep. So what do you say to that? Why would you want to go where there's 435 people and your voice is so small and your impact will be so minimal?
Yeah, we just feel like, Babette and I both feel like this is just where the Lord's calling us right now. So I don't know what to say. I mean, I hope and pray that a good person will follow behind me. But I have the utmost confidence in Nate and what he's doing to lead the conservative movement in the Texas House, and I'm gonna continue to advocate for the Texas House. I'm not going away. I'm not going to be silent. I'm going to still hold the speaker's feet to the fire, and hold members' feet to the fire.
Well, and I believe that because you started off you telling us that as a state rep, you should be involved in local issues. So I'm assuming as a congressman, you're feeling the same way. Yeah.
Absolutely. And my role in Congress is going to be to diminish the role of the federal government and to lift up the states, right?
Yeah.
The states created the federal government. The federal government did not create the states. And we've got to send people to the federal government that understand that.
Do you have any, I don't know who's running to replace you, or do we not have any? What's going on there?
I think there's still several people that are looking at it right now. So it's still a wide open field.
Okay. And then we're recording this on, what is this, August 20th. I don't think it'll air for another week or two. What happens with redistricting? So let's just at least address that. We don't know what it's going to necessarily look like, but what will that affect your race?
It'll affect it a little bit. It's right now, Montgomery County is 55.5% of CD2. and Dan lives in Harris County. It's going to go from 55.5 to 53.5. But and the portion in Harris County, though, half of it's going to be new to Dan Crenshaw. And so his portion of Harris County is going to be completely different. And it's in an area that's more favorable towards me anyway. So I've got a lot of relationships out there in the north part of Harris County, and I'm very, very encouraged by it.
So the maps that we're looking at right now, they don't district either one of you out of the district.
No,
it matter because you don't have to live in district as a congressman, but
I live right in the middle of it.
Okay.
I'm very happy with.
We are just a little bit over our 15-minute limit, so I just want to give you an opportunity. Anything that you want to just say about your campaign or your goals for Congress, or any last words?
Promises made, promises kept. I heard a pastor once say that character and tea bags have this one thing in common. You never know what they are until you drop it in hot water. And the hottest water politically in the United States is Austin, Texas, and Washington, D.C. And I think all too many people have been sent there with the best intentions that have gone bad. I've proven that I've been willing and able to stand alone and to do the right thing, even when it costs me. And I'm going to continue to do that in D.C.
I love it. Fran, you got any more questions?
Nope. I love it too. Wish you all the best, and we'll support you any way we can.
Great. Thanks, ladies. All the best to True Texas Project.
Thank you.
Thank you, Steve. We appreciate you.
Thanks.
All right, everybody. Today we're excited. We have Mark Goloby with us in the studio recording his interview for governor. Now, this is an interesting race because the first time I talked to you about you running for governor, you said, I'm not asking for money. Why would you run for governor and not need money?
Oh, I need money. The time that you and I were talking, I was just kicking things off, and so it wasn't a call to solicit. But yeah, no. I am soliciting money, and I could use money to help raise and bring awareness to these very, very important issues.
So let's talk about why you decided to run.
I decided to run because looking at to compel a man to furnish funds for the propagation of ideas he disbelieves and abhors is sinful and tyrannical. That was Thomas Jefferson.
I was going to say, I've heard that somewhere.
And so I watched this legislative session, and I was quite taken aback when first they overtax us. And we know that. They call them surpluses, but it's not. It's overcollected taxes. And then they come back and take that money and start to spend it and send it off to promote Hollywood in Texas. Mm-hmm. I'm not against filming in Texas, all right? I just don't know why the taxpayers have to pay for it.
Right.
I don't know why we're going to go to South Dallas, take $15 from those people, all right, to go through and fund multimillionaires to make their movies. I found that abhorrent.
You are not alone in that.
And that was a very, very compelling reason. I had a lot of dissatisfaction with the things. As you know, we've got this corporate welfare stuff that goes on. And that, too, is something that I think we need to really address. There's just too much, we're creating these jobs, but how do you create jobs when the state is paying, right, for those jobs? It's like when I talk about the movie stuff. Well, I don't mind them making movies in Texas, okay? I just don't know why we have to pay them. Senator Huffman on the floor of the Senate in passing this said, we talked to these producers, and Texas has all this wonderful panoramas and great scenery and how we got all the sets. It's great, okay? Well, then, if it's that great,
why pay them? Like, let that lure them in. Yeah, there you go. Oh, I like that even better. They should be paying us.
We need a percentage of the profits from the films.
Well, actually, that's one of the things I tell people, Fran, because I go through and I say, okay, if we're going to do this, okay, we're going to get the royalty. There's going to be a royalty for these productions that we finance, all right? Mm-hmm. And that money is going to come back to the Treasury. So we will become like the Desilu. I don't know how many people know Desilu, but every time you watch a Hello Lucy show, right? Uh-huh. That's that money goes into the Desilu Treasury. So to me, all right, if the state of Texas is going to get behind these things, let's go through there.
But that didn't happen, did it?
Oh, no. This is all, no.
Just a pipe dream.
This is what I will do as governor.
Yeah, there we go. Okay, elect Mark Goloby. Okay, so tell us then about your platform. Like, why are you running? Is it just to get a message out, or are you running?
No. I mean, go back and take a look at one of the things is on the sales tax. Okay, I would go through. I've done the math. All right, and the Texas Treasury can easily afford to give a 1% tax elimination, right, of your property, of your sales tax. Okay, and that would go through and it would reduce the revenue to the Treasury, all right, by $16 billion. The budget revenue from the state comptroller is $362 billion. The budget is $337 billion, all right? That leaves $24 billion, okay? I can go through there and have a 1% sales tax, leaving $250 in the pockets of every man, woman, and child in Texas, okay? And you still have $7.5 billion coming to the bottom line. So the Treasury still ends up showing, a bit of a surplus, all right? And I don't mind a $7.5 billion, okay?
Right.
I do have a real problem with them taking $24 billion. And then, since it's so much money and they don't seem to have the self-discipline, right, to go through there and say, well, I don't know, what's out there on the market that we can buy now? Oh, let's buy this, let's buy that. We have state reps putting up monuments for their friends, right? And you're kind of sitting there going, I don't mind, but go raise the money yourself, or at least raise half of it. And come to the state, all right? But because I have a friend who's a state rep, we're going to get this monument, okay? That is not the way. And as governor, I'd have a line item veto, right?
Right.
So that could be a line. All right.
So in about 2 minutes' time, you just solved the problem.
Well, I mean, some of these things are that simple. If you just go through there, one of the things we talk about, and you and I have many conversations on the whole school choice and all those kind of things, all right? And when you go through and you had the original concept, right? Money follow child, school choice, all right? These things started, okay, that has some potential. But then it starts getting into that process of becoming legislated. And the next thing you know, it's not money follow child. It's we're subsidizing private and home schools. So this is a whole nother set of revenue, okay, going to these organizations, and then you create a huge bureaucracy to administer all of that.
Yeah, that's a problem I have with so much of the things the legislature does, is that it creates a new bureaucracy, which means more employees. If you listen at the fiscal notes, not just the money, but how many added employees to whatever agency so that they can implement this legislation. Government just grows and grows and grows and grows in every way.
Right. And so you need a governor who looks at how can we shrink and shrink and shrink.
Do.
Okay.
Yes.
And to me, that's one of the things that just a mindset, just bringing that mindset of saying, why are we spending this money? Do these programs? What are they providing? We going back to the education. So you go through one of the things I was asking, okay, during all that session was, wait a minute. So the governor and his appointee and the Texas Education Agency, right? He's been commissioner for 10 years.
Yeah.
So is the governor and the education commissioner telling us, well, we really messed up public education, so we need to build another education and pay people to get out of it?
You're making too much sense.
Yeah. Those are things I was saying in 2023 when they first proposed it. And my biggest objection to school choice is that you have a bad failed government program, and you're going to solve it by creating another government program. And so keep the old failed one and not fix it. So that's another whole other episode, I think, to discuss.
We could, but part of that to me is to have an elected education commissioner. Instead of being appointed, the education commissioner should be answerable to the parents and the taxpayers, not me, the governor, right? That's who they should be. And I'd like to see somebody campaigning across the state of Texas and talking about some of the things frustrations we have with the schools and saying, I'm going to keep that going. All right. No. He'd be sitting there, or she would be going through proposing solutions for these books that we don't want, for this curriculum that we don't want, and these other kind of programs.
So how would that differ from, especially for our audience, we have a state board of education.
Right.
So how is that different from the position you're saying we need?
Well, you have an education commissioner now. So this would just flip it from being appointed to being elected.
Yes.
So it'd be the same position, and it would serve in that role with the State Board of Education in providing the day-to-day of school operations, within the state of Texas.
Okay.
And so the State Board of Education would remain intact, maybe even try to give them a little bit more oversight and more power to have some control over our education. I think they serve a good function, but it needs to be something to where some of the things they do are great, but they lack teeth.
Yeah.
Some of the books they choose, but then the school districts are still allowed to, okay, well, we'll take that under advisement.
Yeah.
And thanks so much.
Are those your two main platforms then, education and property taxes?
Yeah, I mean, getting rid of corporate welfare, okay? And then when you start looking at what we want to do on property taxes is, there's the eliminate property tax, all right? And I appreciate that, but most of it is really just to replace property tax. When I eliminate 1% of the sales tax, okay, right, that's money you keep, and that's $16 billion less to the Treasury, all right? So that's what I'm more interested in.
I see.
And property taxes are local, okay? And so that's why, to me, one of the frustrations is the state legislature plays this, now you see it, now you don't property tax reform, okay? And then the people get frustrated because they think they're going to get property tax reform, which they don't. And so they become more and more agitated.
Yeah, it's mostly now you don't.
Yeah.
So, now you see it, now you don't. Yeah.
Exactly. And then, we're talking about one of the things that I issued last week was we'll have all these windmill blades, right?
Oh,
so, we've got these things. It's industrial waste. It's being thrown out on the road or on these piles, okay? No other industry could get away with that kind of irresponsible behavior with their industrial waste, but they are. And so one of the things that I would implement is we're going to have a moratorium on any more installations or blade replacements until the industry comes up with a solution for these windmill blades.
I like how you keep going back to that. It's up to the industry. It's up to Hollywood. It's up to, why is the government trying to solve all these problems with our money?
Yeah. Well, yeah. And that's thank you, because that's a whole bottom line of how, to me, the approach that I would bring as governor. I wouldn't be bringing governor, we got extra money, so let's go see if we'll buy this solution or that solution, all right? Yeah. No. You guys got these people got subsidized to put all these windmills in. The taxpayers built the grid for their electric, all right? And no, the taxpayers shouldn't have to pay, right, to get rid of the trash these people are producing. I just really don't like that idea at all. I'm also very concerned about our agribusiness. And I'm looking at, the constant encroachment, right, on our arable land that we have across Texas. And this is something we need to be conscious of. Texas needs to be self-sufficient in as much of its food supply as we can, because we don't know in 3 years, right? We'd have a different regime, okay? And as we saw, all these chicken and facilities that were getting wiped out by the millions, some kind of avian flu, okay? But after January 20th, has anybody noticed there seems to be fewer avian flu breakouts? I don't know. It's just
funny how that works. I didn't know chickens were political, but
you're just sitting there going,
my chickens are Republican.
Okay, good. No, I what I look at is okay, what kind of regimes go through there and destroy a nation, their own food supply, taking out one of the cheapest proteins we have, chickens and eggs, okay? And what were they up to? Yeah. And to me, that's why.
It's really horrifying when you put it like that. Like the regime did this to their own people.
Yes.
Like that's stuff you hear about in other countries, not our country.
One of the things I've always loved about you, Mark, is that you go after and you talk about issues that the average person doesn't see. Average citizens are, property tax and abortion and education. And these are all things that we need to know more about. And I've always loved that you expose those things.
Yeah. So what would you say to someone that would remind you that last election cycle, we had 3 strong candidates trying to get rid of Abbott, and we couldn't even bring him to a runoff. And now here you are running against Abbott again. What would you say to someone to raise an eyebrows to that?
I would say that is a good question. I think it's more important that people get engaged. Go to my website, goodgovernance.today. Like Fran says, I cover a lot of subjects on that website. Yeah. There's a lot of information out there. The voters need to be aware of these things, and they need to be looking more at what is the underlying philosophy of someone who wants to be governor. Is it someone who wants to go through there and say, oh, for every solution, the government has a way to do it? Or more of saying, no, we need to rely on our capitalist system, on our free enterprise system to go through there and solve these problems, not sit there and say, oh, well, we have a whole lot of extra money, so we can go out and quote unquote buy a solution that ends up not being a solution because it creates more bureaucracy, as you said, in the case of the school choice. So those are the things, again, what is the underlying philosophy? What will I be walking around that Capitol talking to the state reps about? What's your transparency? What's the accountability? What bill are you trying to pass? All right. And where is the accountability for it? And where is the transparency to the taxpayers?
Yeah.
All right. That's, to me, and that's a whole different philosophy, I think, than what is in our governor's mansion right now.
Oh, you think?
I do think so.
So what our viewers may not know is that for me personally, I don't know, it's probably true for Fran too. When I have a question, I can go to you and you have a good way of putting it in grassroots terms and making it understandable and it's relevant topics. And I just have appreciated you so much through the years, like getting to know you more, other campaigns and such. So I appreciate that. But what can you, because we only have like a minute left, what can you say to grassroots activists that are, I don't know, want to maybe jump in or like, first of all, what's your website? They probably need to know that.
Right.
What will they find?
Good governance, not today, not tomorrow, today. Right. Okay. And that's, again, I mean, and that's like you're asking, okay, it's good governance. Are you satisfied that you're getting good governance today? Do you feel like that's what we're getting out when you're going through and you're taking money out from your pockets and you're putting it down to Hollywood? Do you
Even
feel
our
like
cameraman is shaking his head vigorously. No, I don't know if he's talking to us, but he's like, no, we're not getting good governance.
He's not telling us time's out, is he?
No.
But no. To me, that's. I mean, I came out with that good governance years ago, and when I had run for comptroller, one of the things I said was we need elected representation on our presidential board of directors. All right. And we got elected representatives, and they're starting to ask the right questions,
yes.
Right? And that's what is critical. When you don't have anybody up there asking the tough questions, all right? And instead of a governor going out there trying to promote some other type of corporate welfare scheme, okay, for somebody or this or that donor or however, okay? Instead of looking at, no, I want to know the bottom line effect on the taxpayers of what you want to achieve. I might be for your achievement, but like school choice, right? Okay. Mm-hmm. I might be for what you want, but I'm not necessarily sure how you want to get there. All right. Mm-hmm. The school chaplain program, that was a nice idea. Conceptually, I was there in the conception of that. All right. Then all of a sudden it turned into, we're going to have paid people on school district staffs.
Oh,
I wasn't there.
No.
I was asking those questions. And when I started asking those questions, then they started kind of, right. But how did that happen? It didn't happen at the original. It wasn't part of the plan. I'd ask, how do we get these people? I always felt like they would be people who are motivated by a spiritual calling to help out. And they do. These high school students need the guidance. I mean, my goodness gracious. Right, right. No, all of a sudden they become paid by the school district. And wait a minute. No. They were supposed to, the church, they would be paid possibly by their church or their mission group, okay? And then come into the schools and provide that kind of missionary work. And again, I'm looking, another thing I'm working on, right, is the foster care and adoption, okay?
Oh, right.
And worked on some legislation. There's a lot of good legislation. Steve Toth had a nice piece of legislation about trying to make it more faith-based. It had a good discussion. There's a lot of things that have to be looked at for that standpoint. But important thing is the questions are being asked, okay? We talked about giving a mother a longer time to have a safe haven instead of just 60 days. These are the kind of things, because what we need to be focused on is we need to figure out how to get these children into foundational situations, okay, sooner in their lives than having these 11 and 12 and 13 needing fostering. Because they're not on a good trajectory. When those kids are 11, 12, and 13, some of them have been through 20 homes.
The stories are horrifying.
Right.
Yeah. And
so we need to sit there and figure out, we've done great success on abortion, right? Okay. Which means that we're going to have these children, and now we need to come up with a very, very strong plan to get them into foundational homes where they can go through there and know where they're going to be every night. Some of these kids, I mean, some stories, and I've been learning myself. And I was this Saturday, I was sitting down with one of the foster care services, and we were going down a data sheet, building up a spreadsheet to go through there and start to analyze all the different reasons people were getting calls for surrendering these children. So we're studying that. I'm doing a very
good.
help study on that, and we've been meeting with a judge there in Houston, and Gold Course had a bill to help make the treatment of the foster care much more homogenous across the state. Okay, because right now, I mean, I was in a meeting in Mays Middleton, and one of the people there, the adoption, pops up and says, "Oh yeah, a kid can get totally different treatment in Fort Bend than they do in Harris County. That's one county line." Wait a minute, what? You know, it's kind of that needle on the record.
Yeah. So I think the common denominator to all these issues that you're bringing up is there's basically two answers. The people must be involved and aware and talking to elected officials and pushing issues, researching, whatever. The people need to be involved, and we need to elect good governance.
Absolutely.
All right. So here's one option right here. I would give us your website one more time.
www.goodgovernance.today.
Goodgovernance.today. So check them out and vote wisely. Thanks, Mark.
You. Thanks a lot. Appreciate y'all's time.
Okay, everybody, our next interview is for the governor of Texas, and we have Doc Chambers with us. So I'm just going to kick this off with a very basic question, because when you first decided to run, people were like, well, who is he?
Exactly.
And hopefully by now, obviously you've kind of built more of a reputation, but why don't you tell us? Like, right. I read your questionnaire that you gave us, and you're like, oh, I've briefed heads of state and the POTUS. And I'm like, wait, what? So give us some background.
That's a great question. And because of my job, my career title, we'll call it, my previous job, I was in the Green Berets. And so that's a special operations unit in the Army. And so that unit usually requires us not to have social media presence, right? Uh-huh. And it wasn't until Operation Lone Star, I was on the border, and I was the task force surgeon. I had 6,000 troops roughly under me as the doctor that took care of them. And so I'm getting to why I'm out there. I was a whistleblower, and Senator Johnson needed somebody to tell the truth, and I did. And so when I did, that of course drew the ire of the Texas Military Department, as well as the Department of Defense and the United States Army Special Operations Command, because I said, I will not allow these soldiers to take this shot that's emergency use authorization without informed consent. And that got me fired. Now, I didn't get kicked out of the military. I was fired off the job. And at that point, I thought, somebody needs to hear about this. And I called Senator Johnson. He had a whistleblower program. And he allowed me to be one of the 4 in the whole of Department of Defense, why there were only 4 truth tellers, to say these shots aren't there. I had young men and women that were being sent to the emergency room after the shots came out. Yeah. And so that was it. So after that, I went on Alex Jones, right?
Oh boy.
I was at Camp Mabry. I was getting ready to discharge out of the military altogether, retire. And so while I was there, I ran into him, and, I'm not an Alex Jones watcher, but I know he had a platform, and I was able to speak about it. And then that thrust me into, okay, I've got to get some social media, because I'm going to continue to talk about this, because they're not safe. They're not effective. And the Department of Defense finally, 4 years later, Pete Hegseth came out, Secretary of Defense, who agrees with me, and I've talked to him about it. He said those orders were unlawful. Yeah. And that's what I told the general. And the general conveniently retired, because it was embarrassing to Texas when I testified in a federal court case about it.
Wow, we just jumped right into it.
You did.
We did. And that brings us to one of the questions I wrote down.
Yes,
I read on your website that you promise to arrest Dr. Fauci.
I did.
If you're governor of the state of Texas.
If he is found with all the elements of a crime, if he's found to have committed a crime, and I also, in my 60 years of life, I was also for a short period of time a reserve deputy, so I understood the lower level elements of a crime. You have to have a victim, you have to have an assailant, you have somebody that did it, and then the intent. That has to be proven in court. But if we're talking about crimes against humanity, or we're talking about a crime that there wasn't an intent, malfeasance, malpractice, either one, then it needs to be looked at. It needs to be investigated. So if we have a good attorney general, we'll be right after that.
We're working on that too.
Gosh, I know you are.
We just finished an attorney general candidate. Yeah.
So
interesting.
You were a Green Beret doctor. Same time?
Right. Yes. This is one of the most interesting things. People sometimes say, well, that's impossible. You're right. It wasn't until I came along.
Oh, well, tell us more about that, because that's
right. So United States Army Special Operations Command, where I worked, I was at 3rd Special Forces Group at Fort Bragg. I've been all over the world and all over the country as a soldier of 39 years, active, Guard, and Reserves, not all active. But they said, we want to send a doctor to the Q course, qualification course for Green Berets. And I was the only doctor that kept saying, send me. I want to go. I had been in since 1983. I was 18-year-old under Ronald Reagan. Right? That was my boss, except I was 18. And I never talked to him. And then I was an infantryman, a paratrooper, all the things that you do subsequently to become a Green Beret. So I put in my paperwork. I said, I'm going to the Green Beret course. They said, you can't. And so they sent me to the shrink. I was like, okay, why is this doctor, senior guy, I was in my 40s, wanting to go to the Q course where everybody's 25 years old, right? This is a hard job. And I'd been working in the Green Berets prior to that since the first invasion of Iraq. Not the first one, not the Gulf War, but the leading edge invasion going in 03, 04. And I've been in the Green Berets as a doctor, but I wanted to be qualified. Because the best way to do the job is to become fully qualified, get the training. And they never let doctors go out to the battlefield. They would have them in the aid station or back in the rear in the operations center. Well, I knew that that's where the patients were. Because as a former trigger puller, a guy that carried a rifle, I knew that it took me a lot longer to get to the hospital if I didn't get into the hands of somebody that could make a difference. And that's what I did. So they sent me to the Q course, a year and a half. The hardest thing I've ever done. I was 45, finished at 47. And, and then I worked for another, since 2022 as a Green Beret.
So hardest thing you've ever done.
Physically.
Do you think now looking back, they were right to say, are you crazy? Why would you do this?
Because then they got four or five more other doctors as you do.
Oh,
because
nice.
We have to have that kind of care close to the leading edge of battle when we're fighting in a very austere environment. I've done operations that are 1,000 miles wide in North Africa. I mean, taking care of the best men and women in the world in the most austere environments. Doing appendectomies in the sub-Saharan deserts.
Wow.
In tents with, headlamps. This is what we do. And nobody ever hears about these things. Yeah. Right. And I would have went away into obscurity. I probably would have went back home up to the Red River, family in Oklahoma. I had been building a herd of longhorns that I was going to retire to do until that happened to me. And then I said, we're in a different fight. Because the fight's coming to the United States is insidious in onset, and it's something we can't see, but it's something that I can feel. Because I'm an expert at unconventional warfare, which is being in other countries and seeing those countries overthrown and then watching it happen to my own. Not going to happen on my watch. This is the environment that we're in. And in speaking to Alan West, who ran against Governor Abbott in the last one, he said, and I thought he was going to say, you're crazy. He said, and he had just jumped into Normandy this last year in reenactment. He said to me,
I didn't know that.
Yeah, he's on the drop zone, and I called him, and he said, "We're friends. I helped him with his campaign. I spoke for him." And so he said, "Pete, Doc, you're just crazy enough. We have to be. We're paratroopers. We understand that world. We're both paratroopers." And he was in the Green Beret, but he was in a different unit, Ranger unit. And I said, "Yeah, we are." But I said, "I'm just asking you for a feasibility to see even if we even have a chance." He said, "Well, you always have a chance." Right? We know that, right? We never shy away from something that's hard. But my key in the beginning, I don't want to waste people's time or money.
Right.
I don't. And when I meet people, I say, we're staying as tight on the budget as we can to get to the end, to win this thing. I ran 400 in school, right? 400 is a tough race, especially 4x400. And so you never run to lose, right? So we're serious about it. But I'm also serious that we're not going to just take people's money. So if and when we win, let's say it that way, it'll be the most shocking race known to Texas in 100 years.
Yeah, because that's actually one of my questions was, okay, Alan West and Don Huffines and Chad Prather all tried it.
Two of them.
And couldn't even get him into a runoff. And so what makes you think you can do that?
Atmospherics. And the reason is that studying the atmospherics. So in the atmospherics is talking about the political arena, but it's also talking about the vectors of attack on this nation, right? People are a lot more astute these last 4 years, especially post-COVID, as to what's happening inside of this nation. It's hard to say it without scaring people to death. You don't want to scare people. That's not my job. Yeah. My job is so you can sleep in bed at night and never be scared.
Right.
That's what I do for a living. But now as the governor, then I'm going to be the commander in chief of probably one of the top 20 forces in the world as far as the Texas National Guard, State Guard, DPS, and all those things.
That's a good point.
That's a fact. Now, we got a great economy, number 8. That's wonderful. We'll maintain that. Well, I'm not going to get off the subject right now, but in doing that, I've got to provide that security because security is the baseline for everything. Physical security, just DPS, our streets, Texas Military Department, our border. Okay, I worked that border. Operation Lone Star, I was there at the kickoff, right? And I know the difference between an optic and a reality, and I won't sling mud at all in this thing, but I'll just say that it was not effective in what I saw and what I knew was right as an operator. An operator is a Green Beret. I've worked in both fields at the same time, which is pretty rare. Like I said, only 5 in the whole inventory of the Department of Defense.
Yeah.
And so in doing that, I briefed Governor Abbott directly, face-to-face. I briefed his staff directly, face-to-face. These are the requirements for us to stop this during the largest invasion, if you will, of human osmotic pressure, we call that. When you see people from other countries that come here and they want to come here. My dad was an immigrant, came here legally, became a citizen, became a family doctor, right? I mean, true American story. He didn't jump ship, but he came across on a ship, went through Ellis Island, $100 in his pocket, became an American dream, right? Met my mom. She's from America. And that story and that patriotism that he put in me, that's why I joined when I was 18. It didn't ever leave me. But now with the things that I know, the insidious onset of all these things, these are Marxist techniques to overthrow a nation. And we're okay right now. But where are we in 4 years? Where are we in 8 years? Politicians can't do that. A commander-in-chief can provide that security. It's not my job to be a politician. Matter of fact, Aristotle said the definition of politician. My dad was from Greece, so I read and understand Greek. Polis is the city-state. Politician is what the action part of that, what the people want, putting it to action, not putting it into endless special sessions and political hijinks.
Yes.
We're done with that. In my book. The people are. Okay, because I've been traveling a little bit. Now, we meant to kick off on July the 4th. Unfortunately, we had a big flood, right?
Oh.
And so 2 hours after that, my team, we're a counter-human trafficking team, we were on the border. I keep saying border. We were on the floods.
Right.
Actually, in Ingram. And so we moved our campaign kickoff to the right, and it's okay. It was worth it. But when we see what the people want, when I hear them, when I talk to them, because we're in a ministry. I'm also in a ministry. That's what our unit is, if you will, the Remnant Ministry, TX. That's us. So I talk to people, I pray with them, I look them in the eyes, and I hear them, and I look at their hearts, and I know what they need. And when they want security, that's what they want. That's what we provide. But then I can't just drink just from that fire hose, right? I can't just project that. I have multiple other people that have come on board with us for all the other avenues. When we talk about energy, we talk about the agricultural business or the cattle business, right? Big deal. But we've got other vectors coming in that we've got to look for. And there are certain programs in this state that aren't helping that at all.
So first of all, I want to go back to the flood thing because I just want to thank you personally. I don't know if you're aware, but your team is who contacted me to see, can True Texas Project help out? And so when we filled a U-Haul full of supplies and we raised $12,000.
That was you guys.
And that was all connected to you. And I knew that.
And it all happened in like 3 days.
Yeah.
Start to
I remember that because, so I'm the guy on the ground, right? First day, all we're doing is helping people on the side of the river. There's nobody getting in the water. And then we brought divers in from Navy SEALs from Coronado. We had MARSOC guys, Marine Recon specialists, dive. They were in the water. There's their guys, but they came in. I was talking to 14 different organizations as the guy on the ground, civilians, and then going into the EEOC in Kerrville, talking to them, all people I know. I was in guard system for a long time. I got the pilots married up with the Marines. All right, you guys go out. Let's go. We got a mission. And they're looking at me like, aren't you out now? I'm like, yeah, I'm out, but I'm doing this. And so they know me. I'm on the list. So it's okay. It's all legit. But then to watch people, the Texans helping Texans, it sounds like a hashtag, beautiful. Right? But it's beautiful, right?
Really
I get chills just talking about it because that to me is truly what this is about, is us helping each other. We the people, for the people, by the people. That's what happened there. Now, TDEM, I've worked for them during the COVID administration, COVID part of the governor's administration. There were mistakes there. Got it. Everybody had mistakes during that thing. But we can't let something like that ever happen again. We can't let it happen.
Correct.
And so when I watch civilians step up and then bring in our guys from all over the country, and they were all Texas folks stationed at Bragg, stationed in Coronado, SEALs. We're from Texas. We're taking leave. We're on our way. Boom, boom, boom.
Yeah,
and these were just
awesome.
relationships that I had in the past. And yes, you mentioned I talked to kings and things. I've worked at the highest levels of Special Operations Command, and have had to be a warrior diplomat in embassies around the world.
So I think it's an interesting take that you have, because when we think of governor, we're probably thinking of a lot of legislative stuff and just like, not, I want to say housekeeping, but I don't know. But you're saying that we're in a time, like you're here for a time such as this.
Yes,
like the perspective is changing, the needs are changing, and you're ready to fit that role.
You know what you do before you take a job? You read the job description. And I read it, and it said Commander-in-Chief. First line, Commander-in-Chief. I read what the Lieutenant Governor does. I don't want that job. That's the guy that herds the cat, guy or gal that herds the cats in the legislature.
Yes.
I'm not a legislator. I was asked once by the Speaker of the House of the United States of America, would you take the 2nd District, Oklahoma, because that's where my family home record is, would you take that job? I'll give it to you. Because I was a liaison up on the Hill, and I got to learn behind the curtains. And I said, no, sir, I'm not a legislator, nor will I ever come back to D.C.
I think the big difference we're seeing here, Julie, is action. You're a man of action. You know what to do, when to do it, and how to do it, and you intend to do it rather than talking about it, which has been our biggest complaint from our current governor, that he talks about doing the right thing all the time, rarely actually does it. So I'm excited about that aspect.
That is something that Lara Logan is. She's not an easy interview. Let me tell you, I did one with her. And with the first time she and I met, we didn't hit it off too well. Right, because she was disagreeing with me about something on the border, and I get it. And she's not a reporter; she's a combat correspondent. Don't ever tell her that.
Combat correspondent.
I didn't say that, but she came in and she said, "You don't know who I am." I was giving a briefing on the border, and I said, "Never seen you," but I had. But that really dug in her spurs. At this point, she's like, But now we have a great relationship, and she brought me on, and she saw that I had said that thing about Fauci, and she said, "Now this is getting interesting on X." Because she was not behind me. I mean, not that she wasn't behind me. She just said, "You're crazy." So there we go. She goes, and she said this on her ex. I've known Pete for a long time. He's a man of action.
Yeah.
He will do it. I don't have any other stake in the game, and I don't court. I hate to say this, and campaign managers are going to go crazy. I'm not looking for billionaires. I'm looking for people that from Texas who care about this state and doing the right thing and not have anything to sway my opinion about anything else. Lobbyist TV, it's a thing.
Oh, for sure. One thing that you had mentioned in your questionnaire to us was the focus on taxes and the 26%. Why don't you
Why
talk
26?
about that? Yes.
Okay, so our guys pulled up what the taxes have gone up since Abbott has been in office. It's 26%. Okay, I am not an economist. I know a lot of them. I know some extremely intelligent people when it comes to that. And I've asked 3 different groups to give me 3 different plans. That's what a commander does. Okay, that's just normal. Me as a lieutenant colonel, I say, give me the bottom line up front, the so what, and give me 3 courses of action. And that's what they do. So I'll have 3 courses of action. Now, one of them includes an executive order, day 1, to declare an emergency declaration because of the border, because it's overwhelmed the system of the immigration system, but it's also created a very difficult environment for people that live in downtown cities. I went into Houston downtown not that long ago, talked to folks. It's a different environment. We can talk about Epic City. We can talk about a lot of different things. Colony Ridge, right? I helped to find that thing. I was flying in this second seat in the helicopter while Michael Yon and Ann Vandersteel were looking down doing an investigative report, and I helped them find that thing. So together, we know that there are things that have made it their way in that don't bode well when taxes are going up and security is going down, right? It should be the other way around. Security should be foremost, and taxes, isn't that a lien on your property? Now, I've read the Constitution, both the state and federal, and I don't know as much as the Attorney General would know. Once again, I pray we have one that does. He should be able to quote it. Otherwise, I can't fire him, but I'm not going to have kind words with him. But we'll get along. But the point is that there are different ways to do these things, and there are people that look at it differently. Some people say, well, we need to doge the system, investigate where the money is. Absolutely. That's one of the courses of action. If I create an executive order, I can actually go into a special session specifically and not for all kinds of other crazy things, right? So we can have another session, another session, and so that everybody can walk out because they didn't take their ball and go home. We're not doing that. But we're gonna talk seriously about we're not making our citizens pay a lien for their property that they bought. Right? I just can't do that. I can't abide by that. I won't. I understand that there are certain taxes for infrastructure and things like that have to be covered, right? That have to be covered. If you want to let your lights on the street, I spoke with a guy at the Fort Worth Club the other day. I was talking to a group of people, wealthy people, right? And he challenged me, what programs are you going to do different? I like my lights on at night. I'll pay the school tax. I don't mind. I said, sir, you're a wealthy man. I said, there's people that pay rent, that 34% of their rent pay goes toward taxes, and they can't survive. Now, if we're supposed to maintain the highest economy in the nation, or at number 8, right, in the world, if we're supposed to maintain that, yet our schools are somewhere, depending on which Metro C you look at, 27 and 40th in the nation, I'm sorry, that's backwards. How do we then, using a word I don't like to use, sustain the ability to bring intelligent people to come in to be in our workforce to maintain that economy?
Yeah.
It's not going to sustain. And the only way that I can see it happen is bringing people from other places. And that's not right either. Right? So I have to look at the 40,000 foot view as a commander in chief, and then go to the legislature and then get the citizens involved. You know that the citizens of Texas stopped the Trans-Texas Corridor when Perry was the president? I'm sorry, with the governor?
Was governor.
They got together and they used a tool that is in the Constitution to stop it. So let's say me as governor, I go to the people's governor, and I say, hey, would y'all get behind this here? We're going to do this thing with the taxes. What do you think? And then we force the function.
Property tax is the number one
issue
for grassroots citizens, but they want it completely gone, not reduced 26%.
No, that's day one.
Okay.
That's executive order, day one.
If I understood, that was what you would have the power to do
yes,
as
ma'am.
governor.
I'm sorry, I mistook the question. But no, that's day one.
So that's step one, day one.
Step one.
And then what?
Okay, so, and I'm not going to be a guy that follows what DeSantis does or Governor Stitt in Oklahoma. I'm talking to his staff. They're currently phasing it out right now, right? So they're phasing it. The concern for me is I don't want to disrupt the economy, the first year and then create a problem,
right.
A bounce back, a rebound. So we've got to look at, that's why I said day one, 26%. And then by the end of my term, I'm a term limit guy too. Mark my words right now.
Thank you.
I had arguments with the Speaker of the House, Mr. Ryan, numerous times, and I'd say, sir, term limits are a thing. Oh, no, you have to be here long enough to understand how to play the game. No.
Oh, yeah, it's definitely
words
a game.
have meaning. Words have meaning.
I'm well aware.
So, yes, ma'am, you do. And so that is how we will stair-step it intelligently, but to get to zero.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Okay. So we are running out of time, but I have, and I do this with every candidate. I look, what's on social media? What are the things that people are saying that they want answers to because so-and-so said this horrible thing, and so I can never vote for you, and maybe it's not even true. So the two things I heard about you, one is that you have never, ever voted in Texas, and the address that you used was a closed distillery.
Not a closed distillery. It's an open distillery.
Okay.
And I'm dang proud to say it. When I got out of the Texas Military Department, they stopped my pay, my retirement pay. I didn't get it until 2.5 years after being out of the military.
Oh.
Right? Because there was a mistake in the pay and all these. I had a lot of back pay due me. So a friend of mine who owns that distillery, who's also a patriot, said to me, I've got 3 hookups up back. While you're here at Mabry, we'll let you hook up out back. So that was my last driver's license. Now it's not there anymore. But until I could get out of that hole that I was in, that's where I was.
That seems perfectly...
it's a thing that can happen to any citizen in this state.
So you have voted in Texas
I have voted
elections
in Texas.
Because that's a bit contradictory, saying you've never voted in a Texas election, but when you voted, you used
only voted once. It says that you
only once. I'm sorry.
Right. And I had 2 reasons why I didn't believe in voting, and I hate to even say this. I do believe in voting, but I was so distraught after the 2020 election. And I was deployed again downrange. My last deployment, 2016, downrange. Oh, no, even more than that. Shoot, 2018. I don't know. I went to Africa after that. But so we miss a lot of elections. You can get an absentee ballot, but it's hard to get in combat. So it's difficult. But when I came back here, and I've been in Texas for 8 years straight in the Texas National Guard. That's a requirement, 5 years. I'm not Texas born. I was born in Missouri. My dad was a family doctor.
Either.
Right. My dad was a family doctor. That's where I was a baby. I never really walked there, but of course people are like, carpetbagger. I get it.
Yeah.
That's a non-serious person. But I'll say this, that I gave 8 years of my life to protect that border and to protect this state. And so that means something. William Barrett Travis, although I'm not equating myself to him, came from South Carolina, right? Bowie came from South Carolina.
Yeah.
Davy Crockett came
Tennessee.
from Tennessee.
Thank God for the volunteers.
Yes.
Right. So I appreciate those people, and I'll give it back across the nation because I went out to North Carolina during that hurricane, and we helped them for about 6 weeks total, and that's what we do. So we'll continue here in Texas.
The other question was something about an endorsement you made.
Oh, yes. Okay, so I have lesson one as a person running for an office. I'm not a politician. Is don't endorse anybody until you actually have an office. Right, that was a lesson number one. But the person I had met was going against Crenshaw, and I didn't know who else was going.
Oh.
Right, and so when I went to go get help from a Texas legislator, I went to his office and I asked for help on the border, saying these shots are killing my soldiers. They're getting sick. They're in the hospital. I got 2 in the ICU right now. They didn't want to talk about it. And so I said, anybody running against him, I will support. So I just said that. Then all of a sudden, some pundit out of Houston starts blasting me saying, he's not a doctor. He's a liar, this and that. I'm like, I would have got on your show, sir, if you hadn't have done that, because now I know you're not serious. I'm a serious guy.
Yeah.
And I'll debate with the best of them. Now, I'm not an attorney kind of debater. I'm just an honesty debater. But I'll tell you, when people start doing that, I have no time for them. So that did put me in the limelight. Lesson learned, don't endorse anybody until you can. I can repost their stuff, but I can't endorse.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, that all seems reasonable. Okay, so this might be my hardest question for you, and it'll be the last question for you, unless you have more. Okay. We have an expression in Texas, all hat, no cattle, right?
Right.
And then when somebody wants to run for office,
they put on a hat.
So is this a legitimate hat for you, or is it not?
Mac, this is my newest one, but I've got them hanging all over my trailer.
I suspected.
I still have a horse I used from the border. I took one of the Border Patrol horses that was retired.
Oh.
I did ride down there quite a bit in the hinterlands and the Big Bend. And then I had 48 head of Longhorns. I sold all them so I could do counter human trafficking. So that I won't be ranching. I'm not even a rancher, really. I'm more of a hand.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm more of a hand.
Well, the hat looks good on you.
Oh, thank
you. Why don't you tell everybody your website?
Sure. It's docpetechambers.org. That's me. D-O-C, Pete Chambers with an S.org.
Okay. Very good. Any last words?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Well, good luck to you.
Great to meet you.
I know there's a ton of momentum for you among the grassroots. Everybody's like, you got to talk to this guy. You got to talk to this guy. So now we have, and if anybody has any questions, they can go to your website. So thank you so much. Appreciate it. All right, everyone. That's it for today. Thank you for watching our interviews. We hope that you learned something new and that you'll join us again next month when we interview Nate Sheets and Sid Miller for Texas Agriculture Commissioner. All right. Until then, here's to Texas.
And here's to true Texans.
Thanks, everyone.